Hey, everybody. Welcome to the DBC Inc. Facebook Live Thursday night. I am here with the always amazing Tara Martin. Tara, how you doing?
Hey, Dave, doing great. And you?
I am doing fantastic. Just like squeezed in a little 5K run in the rain before cleaning up and getting on here. So I was nervous I was going to have to come in soaked in rain and sweat on the show, but nope. Was able to jump a quick shower. So you are all safe.
Not the wet t-shirt show. Aw. No, I'm just kidding.
No, absolutely not. Hey, by the way, as you are joining us, just like Kristen did over on the side there, throw your name into the comments. Let us know who's here, where you're from. Kristen, good to see you here. And taking that top spot as normal there. I love to see it. Love to see it. By the way, I thought I would, while we're waiting on people to jump in, show that I had hosted a guest a couple weeks ago, Andrew Sheros, and to rep Andrew tonight, got the all 4s and 5s shirt on, his shirt for advanced placement teachers, or his book, excuse me, his book for advanced placement teachers, repping the shirt today. Love when authors send me swag. You can guarantee it's going to be a social media post if I get swag from authors.
For sure. We love it. Dave is a walking billboard for authors. So if you want somebody to like rep your stuff, send it over. He's wearing those t-shirts all the time for sure. I'm going to drop this one over in the comment section for the all 4s and 5s, just in case you see the shirt and like, what's that book all about? You can click the link.
What's up, Sean? Thanks for joining us. Good to see you.
I can't, of course, right? So fun. Even when it's Dave and me, and you never know what we're going to be talking about. We call it PD, but I don't know.
So I would like to start today with a little bit of a confession that's coming to my attention right now as we're doing this, Tara.
Oh, goodness.
And that is that since we started doing Facebook Lives, clearly my eyes have gotten much worse, because I'm sitting here looking at these comments and I can barely read. I used to be able to like read them easily as they popped in and say hello to people, but now I'm like, pretty soon I'm going to be doing the show. I have my reading glasses here, so pretty soon you might be seeing all Facebook Lives with me with my reading glasses on, because those comments have just gotten much smaller and blurrier just since we started doing lives.
That's all right. My eye doctor says it happens to the best of us.
That's right. Nick from Winnipeg, all the way from Winnipeg, joining us. Good to see you as well, popping in here.
She might have some new news to share with people soon. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to share it, but
there's a rumor that maybe she's going to come on to the Dave Burgess Show podcast.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
So maybe that'll be a good time. But yeah. So that is fantastic. So Tara, how about the fact that me and you sat down for about a 75-minute podcast episode the other day and talked about all the things? Have you all listened to the episode with Tara? Tara was inspirational as always. We talked about all of her journeys and her bucket list and all that kind of stuff.
We did. Well, I'll drop that over in the comment section too. Actually, I'm gonna drop his latest episode because I have the link real handy. But you can just scroll down and find mine too. It was so fun. It's so fun to like just talk about all the things I hadn't really. I don't think on your podcast I'd ever really talked about my books. So, I mean, I know that like you and I talk about them. We know about them. We hear me speak about them all the time. But that was fun.
Yeah, for sure. And then if you haven't listened to the podcast yet, be sure to do that. But Tara dropped some news on everybody, and that's that she has officially not just a CrossFit athlete, but now has been certified and is actively coaching CrossFit classes. She's on her own now. She was doing some working with someone for a while, but now she's got her own classes.
It was so fun too, Dave. Like just to talk about that, I was talking to our lead coach, Joe, the other day, and he's like, so everybody says that you feel confident now. Because when I was being watched by them, you know how the student teacher goes through all the phases of co-teaching, and then they teach and the teacher watches, and then all of a sudden they're on their own. Well, I like went through those phases all over again in this new role. And while I was being watched, I felt myself like so anxious, so nervous. And it reminded me of what it was like to be a student teacher or have student teachers, because I often had them when I was in the classroom. And then once I was on my own, it's like I was born to do this. I get out there and it's maybe if I don't understand every little technical move, it didn't matter. I was confident in what I did know, and I knew enough to keep everyone safe. And I just owned it. Well, we have video cameras in our gym where they can see you, they can watch you, if they wanted to. But honestly, just Joe was saying, like, he was just getting feedback from the other athletes saying, she looks so nervous when you guys were observing her. She's just out there like rocking it. Like she's just been doing this all the time. And I feel like that too. I mean, it's not like super easy. I definitely study quite a bit, knowing the workout, making sure I know all the scales for everyone. But it is one of the highlights of my mornings. I get up at 3:15 a.m. on Tuesday morning, and I'm at the gym by 4:40. Coaching the 5 a.m. and then the 6:15 a.m. before work on those days. And I love it. Like, people are like, how much coffee have you had to be this energized at 4:40 a.m.? But it's just one cup, and I'm just so pumped to be there.
Yeah. So first of all, I see that Sean had mentioned that the kid fit at a CrossFit gym. That's cool. That's
cool.
Awesome. That's super cool. Start them young, get them going early, get that functional fitness going. I love it. And Nick, this is one of my favorite parts of that podcast too, where at one point Tara says, I mean, who would have thought that? And I'm just like, whoa, hold on. Tara, literally everyone would have thought that you were going to wind up being the CrossFit coach. Like, who are we kidding here?
I was just like, I was nervous even to ask our owner, hey, I did get certified, something I want to do. I don't know if you guys would have room for me, but I'm just putting it out there. And he's like, welcome to the team. It was like so easy. I'm like, oh, okay, let's do this thing. He's like, I think you're a perfect fit. I'm like, really? I had no idea.
Yeah. And so I'll throw out a little something from the most recent episode too. So Tara's episode is great. Go back and listen to that, and you'll hear all the good things from Tara. Also, you hear Tara really dive into the Cannonball Inn story and talk about that, which is a great book for kids and for adults. Then I did another podcast, Second Wind, recently. And this afternoon was another example of that, where I was waiting for a break in the rain to go out and give. This is something I've learned about Vancouver. I just moved to Vancouver, Washington, is I have to be more flexible. So it's like, I can't say like, hey, I'm going to run it this time, because maybe that time's not going to be so good. I have to just kind of be ready to like watch the weather. And when there's a break, I get my shoes on and I go. So I've had to learn to be a little flexible. Well, Facebook Live was coming at 4:30. It's getting later and later, and the rain was not stopping. And so it's like, all right, I got this window. I can't get out there. I waited too long. I can't get out there and do the run that I really want to do. So do I not do any run, or I just do a little bit of a run? And that's what I talked about in the podcast from James Clear, where he talks about, hey, stick with your schedule and change the schedule. It was a run day. I need to run today, even if it means that I run less. And so I was planning to run more than a 5K, but I knew I didn't have time for it. But it was raining, right? So I changed the scope, dropped down to a 5K, went out, got it in. And then also that rain thing, trust me, I don't want to go run in the rain. But again, the other piece from James Clear that I put into the podcast is that like every act, every decision that you make, you're casting a vote for the kind of person that you want to be. And so what kind of person you want to be? Do you want the kind of person that's like, oh, it's drizzling outside, guess I can't exercise today? Are you going to be the kind of person that puts your shoes on and goes? And so I try to keep that in the back of my mind as I'm making these decisions always, and trying my best, although I'm not perfect, certainly, to cast the vote for the kind of person I want to be. And it's never about that one time, right? It's the culmination of all these acts and decisions that we make. And certainly, Tara, I know there's probably a lot of mornings where you don't want, when that alarm hits at 3:15 or whatever it is, you're not looking to get out of bed, but you're committed. You cast a vote for, you're the kind of person that gets up and gets it going.
That's right. And sometimes at 8 o'clock, I don't want to go to bed. Like most of the time I like going to bed early, but on the night before that, it's actually 8:40 because it's a Monday night and we have TLAP. So that goes till 8:30. And so 8:40, I make sure I'm showered before TLAP so I can go right to bed. Whether or not I'm tired, I will shut my eyes, put the sleep mask on when we're going to got to go to bed so I can get up at that time and be a lot for a lot of people. And yes, you're right. I've made this commitment. I'm so excited about it. I want to bring the energy that I want from a coach to those athletes at 4:50 in the morning, just like I would if I was doing it at 4:50 in the afternoon. And so, yeah, I'm just make sure I'm up early so I can do it. And it's so, you're so right. If you could just, when you, I read a quote, dang it, I'm gonna find it. I talked about it the other day, but it was basically, and I put it in TLAP, but it was all about doing what you said you were going to do long after the mood you set it in has left. And I feel like it was question number like 3-ish, maybe something. Commitment is doing what you said you would long after the mood you set it in has left. Man, I killed that, Inky Johnson. And I think that's something we have to think about. I think about this when I think about Dave's podcast with the Second Wind. If we're truly committed, not every day you're going to feel motivated. Not every day you're going to feel your best self. But if you're committed to this thing for whatever reason, for me, it's for the athletes. It's to help people grow and be their best self. Like that's what I'm committed. Then no matter how I feel and no matter what my mood is that day, I want to stick with the commitment, stick with the plan, Yeah. Or like Dave said earlier, change the scope, but not the schedule. Like I know this is what I'm supposed to do, so I'm just going to get up and do it.
Yeah. Hey, Amy, thanks for popping in and joining us. Love to see David here too. It's awesome. And so I'm going to tell you an example from the other side, something that I'm not very good at right now. And I made a positive move today, hopefully to change that around. And that's asking for help. And so I am super slow to ask for help, always have been. And so I've been struggling with my shoulder and I just can't figure out what's wrong with it. I keep thinking it's going to get better. I keep ignoring it. I keep thinking like, well, it just needs time. And I have not been willing to. I'm in a new town, new state. I don't know any, not where my normal chiropractor is, not where my normal massage therapist, anything like that. Like I don't know anyone. And so I just wasn't willing to tackle it and just kept praying. And then last night, it's like it's starting to impact my sleep now. Can't sleep without it hurting and all that kind of stuff. And so finally I broke down today and did a bunch of research and called and scheduled an appointment for Monday. So on Monday at 9 a.m., I'm going to get my shoulder. Like, why didn't I do that 2 weeks ago? How much better would my shoulder be now if I would have got it seen then? But so I'm trying to get better at asking for help when I need it.
It's hard to do. I mean, when you're so used to just doing the thing, right? Yeah, it's right, Mark. We're hesitant to show any signs of weakness because we're proud. I mean, it's true. Like we're used to doing what we've always done. And if it doesn't work properly, it's very frustrating. So you just start trying to troubleshoot and man, you just ask for help, get it done, get it over. Dave and I were talking about another situation. Don't have to go into detail, but he's like, it's 28 days, T. Like you can hold a bear for 28 days. That's what you're always talking about. And I'm like, that's so long. I don't want to be out of my normal routine for 28 days.
So I would like to clarify something that yes, I did say that it was just 28 days and that you could do it without nothing. But at no point did I ever say that you could hold a bear for 28 days.
Well, I always say you can hold a bear that long. And yeah, I just threw that part in. It just added a little bit of my wisdom.
Yeah. I was like, does that sound like
I could hold a bear for 28 days, though. We know
I think you could hold a bear for 28 days.
I feel confident. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's pray Dave's shoulder gets all better for sure. Always a victim of me. I'll get better soon. Exactly, Sean. Me too.
That's actually something that came up in our podcast too, Tara, is we talked about therapy. And I mean, how cliche is it for people to say like, you should talk to someone about that. You should talk to someone about that. And then you just let it go and go and go on and on and on and on. And all of a sudden, like things are out of control. And it's just like, we're just so hesitant to be vulnerable and to say like, yeah, you know what, maybe I can't solve all these problems on my own. And why not talk through it with someone who, that's what they do for a job. That's what they do for. I don't go out and try to fix my car. Right. I'm willing to hire a chiropractor. I'm willing to go see a doctor if I get sick. I'm willing to, like, I don't stitch my clothes. Like, there's all these other areas where I'm more than happy to take advantage of other people's expertise. And like, why wouldn't I talk to someone about my problems in my life and all that kind of stuff like that? And someone who's, and so I think people are too slow to ask for help in a lot of different areas.
For sure. I saw this quote and I use it actually in one of my keynote. I use it in my keynote about it's a statistics from the National Council for Behavioral Health. And it says that 52% of Americans have tried to grin and bear it instead of seeing a doctor when feeling depressed or mentally unstable. And I think it's just a stigma. Like, it's something that, 52%, that's more than half of us on the planet. They just try to grin and bear it instead of seeing a doctor when they feel depressed or mentally unstable. That's crazy. And I wish so much that people could realize, even if you can't see a therapist, sometimes just finding someone you could trust enough to be able to help you problem solve, not just to vent necessarily, but get to a place where you're moving forward with those thoughts and able to process them. It's so huge. I used to just bottle everything in or write it in my journal only, thinking that would be enough for me. And honestly, there have been times where I've let my therapist read my journal. I went to therapy today, by the way. I let my therapist read my journal, and some parts of it, she has said, you know what, actually, a lot of times it's keeping it in there is fine, because I'll go back and look and see how I've overcome some parts and pieces of my life. But there have been times that she said, you know what, I would encourage you to remove these pages. Like, never are these pages going to serve you. And I appreciate that, because when you get into a dark place, you can get you're journaling, you're doing some things that are good for mental health, maybe, but you also could be coaching yourself in a very wrong direction. She often says, Tara, you're so creative. And when your creativity is used for the positive, it is awesome. And it is fire and everybody wants it. But man, when that creative mind goes dark, it can go really dark. And so there's been some times, very few, but sometimes in my journal where she said, I would encourage you to remove these pages, like never going back and looking, this is going to make you feel better.
Well, I remember the time that she removed those pages and said that she needed to turn those ones over to the police.
And put me in a crazy house. No, I'm just kidding. I'm always fearful of that, but she hasn't yet. So we're still here. She often tells me I'm normal, and that scares the crap out of me too. I'm like, are you sure? I'm just not so sure.
And you know what? Sometimes this is just about, and like you said, it's not even so much, doesn't necessarily even not have to be therapy, but just having someone who is outside of the situation, take a look at something, outside eyes. And in education is the same way. Like, when is the last time you had someone observe your class? Not like an evaluation, like a principal coming in to evaluate you, but just like, hey, I'm trying something new. Would you love to, I would love to have you take a look at it and see what you think. And then that outside lens, that way of that perspective from outside, that you're so close to it, right? You're so close to it, you can't see what's going on. Maybe somebody looking from the outside and go like, oh, you know what? This would be really powerful if you did this. Or, man, you really, you don't realize how much engagement you get when you do this part right here. Like, you had them in the palm of your hands at that moment, and you might not even realize that because you're so in the moment, right? Athletes have coaches, right? Everybody has people that look from the outside in. And the coach, by the way, like, let's say the NBA, the coach is not as good as the athlete in almost every circumstance, right? That's not what's important, right? The athlete, Michael Jordan had a coach. The coach was not as good as Michael Jordan, but yet Michael Jordan still needed a coach, someone to look from the outside in.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. It reminds me a lot of, too, moving into this role, I was so nervous because I can't do all the skills, all of the CrossFit skills that a lot of our athletes can do. And I remember being trained as an instructional coach and really having to coach high school teachers and middle school teachers. And I'm like, man, I don't know their content inside and out. Like I do elementary, or middle school. And I remember my trainer just saying, you don't have to. You have to be able, solid instruction, and you know how to ask good questions. And with those two combined, you're going to be fine. And you're going to be able to help them get to where they want to be with those two skills. And I think that's a lot of times the case with coaching. Like, I know the points of performance for every single move, whether or not my body can do them. I understand it. I understand the mechanics of it, the science of it, and I can see it. I know how to work from the ground up, from the feet all the way out to the extremities. And that's how we fix the technique until we get it solid. And so being able to give cues in the right place at the right time, ask questions, and help the athlete move forward in their technique. I'm just so amazed that I'm able to do it with even skills that I can't yet, my body can't yet perform, but I understand it.
Yeah. You think about something as mundane as putting a picture on a wall. You're up there and you're putting the picture on the wall and you're like, you think it's straight, but what you really need is someone to step back a few steps and to say like, no, the left end needs to go down a little bit. Oh, here, like, and you're too close to it.
Right.
But pulled back, all of a sudden now the two of you together can get the picture up straight. And sometimes it's that way with life too.
For sure. I love that. So, man, we're all over the place, but I see some people that are excited about these topics, loving the analogies, the therapy. I like what Nick had to say. I go to the dentist every 6 months. I get a physical every year, and now therapy is in my life every 6 weeks. And I love that. There needs to be more of us that shares that. We were running the other day with my little running crew. Can you believe I'm saying that on a live? I have a running crew and they're fun. And they started running because of me, which is weird. But and I started running because of Dave. So here we are. I'm a CrossFitter and I'm a runner and I'm a coach. Like, who knew all this thing?
Who would have thought?
Who would have known this a year ago? But we were running and we were just talking about something. I was like, yeah, sometimes I was saying this, like I see a therapist and I was like, man, if she ever told all the things, like I'd probably be in a straitjacket or something. And they're like, I was like, I hope she never tells y'all all the things, if y'all go see her. And they were like, please, I bet we're more the same than we are different. And when Tomas said that, I was just like, exactly. That's actually true. Like, I bet there's a lot of us that have so many thoughts. We're all creative. We're excited. We have a lot of things going in our minds. And he said, I bet we're more alike than we are different. And I love that. I was like, I think so. I think you're right.
Yeah. Who would have thought that Tara would start running and then have a running club?
Y'all, it's crazy. We were just posting pictures online, training for that half. This is why. Okay. So sometimes I think, man, I should stop posting those little athletic, whatever, my fitness pictures on my story. I should stop posting that. But it's for me. It's really not for people. Because I definitely get some hate for it. But I still just keep doing it. And one of the reasons why I do it, in case you're ever wondering, which all of you probably aren't, but in case you are, here's why. We were posting those little running pictures as I was training for the half, and I was excited about it. I really wanted to save it to a highlight and make it my little journey. So for me, it was a little time capsule of my first 5 miles, 6 miles. When I got to 10, I was like, I am a freaking rock star. Like, I ran 10 miles. I can't believe it. That was even before the half. But just posting these pictures, celebration for myself, and other people were looking on and like, oh man, if she's running, like I could be running. And it was just like people at our gym, and they're like, hey, can we join in? I saw you ran a half marathon. I was just wondering if you're going to keep running. And if you are, is there a little schedule? Like, is there any way we can join in? So we started a little text string, and then people started joining that didn't have iPhone, and there's so many of them. And I'm like, we got to get a new app. So we got WhatsApp, which I don't use. And so we started using WhatsApp. So anybody with any kind of phone can join in. And now they're just sharing that little QR code anywhere and everywhere, like at the gym. So people can join in and see when we're running, so they can come join us. And so now we actually have a schedule: Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5 a.m., 5K. And then on Sunday, run day, we run like 6 or 7. We ran 10 miles on accident the other day, but run 6 to 10 miles on Sunday and at 9, so they could sleep in a little bit. And so who would have guessed? But it's so fun because people come out there and they're like, I can't believe I like running. I'm like, yeah,
For a lot of people, that was just a very shocking statement that you just made, Tara, and me
we
included. Like
accidentally.
10 miles on accident. Like a lot of people are listening, going like, never in my life would I ever be running 10 miles by accident.
Well, I'll tell you what, my little crew loves me, right? Of course, because we joined this little running group. But I think they all decided that day that I never get to choose the route, because unless it's just like a route we already know, because I had it in my head what I thought we would be about 6 miles. And when we got halfway, we were at 5. And I was like, well, we had to come back to get to our car. And they're like,
So you trapped them.
this is not going to be 6 miles, T. I'm like,
You suckered them in. You got them out 5 miles, and then they realized there was no other path forward but to go back 5 miles. Man,
the best
unbelievable.
part about running with a group, if you've never run with a group, run intervals. It's fun. It's not as hard as it sounds. And you're just chatting. And that's what happened. We were just chatting it up. And somebody said, hey, has anybody looked to see what mile we're on? And I'm like, oh, we're at 5.1. And we knew we were just headed back to the car. And so yeah, obviously I'm not good at GPS. I'm not a good GPS.
That reminds me of your stories with the plates at the gym, with knowing how much weight you have on your bar.
I'm not good at barbell math either. I'm just period. I'm not good at math.
Barbell math may need a little bit of work.
Geometry, like space, barbell math, geography. Like I'm struggling in a lot of areas. I can write.
You're like, man, those reps just felt hard today. And someone's looking at your bar going like, yeah, that's because you just put your PR on your bar. Like,
it was 50 that day. It was supposed to be 155 on the barbell, and I had 195 for the whole workout. For the whole workout for deadlift. And I kept thinking, like, how are these people repping this out? And I'm like, singles, boom, boom. And at the end, my back was hurting, everything was hurting. And we went to pull the barbell, pull the weights off, and they're like, T, this is 195. I'm like, how do you do that? Like, who does that? Like accidentally running 10 miles.
Again, never in my life will I ever be thinking that I have a certain amount on the weight and have 40 pounds more on the bar. No, this is not happening for me.
It's so crazy. Oh gosh.
Certainly not until I get this shoulder fixed, I'll tell you that. But
right. You got to get that fixed first.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I know we talked about a lot of things, but I feel like if we kind of summed it up, it would just be to, don't be afraid to ask for help. And also remember, I love that new hashtag. Remember, you can accidentally run 10 miles. You're going to be fine. You're going to live through it and laugh about it later. No, I'm just kidding. But also just to remind yourself that we all started somewhere, reminding yourself about those student teachers, starting therapy for the first time, whatever it is that you're starting, it's okay. We're going to learn from that experience. And one day we will either laugh about it, grow from it, something. It's going to be a learning experience. And that's what the L in real is all about. It's all about learning through life. And I love that. And sometimes I find it difficult to look at life like that because I'm in the middle of it and I'm frustrated. But a lot of times when I'm on the backside of it, I'm like, that was funny. That was great. Like even Dave and I talk about this in the podcast. Did we? No, maybe the first keynote. Did we talk about that?
We didn't do the first keynote.
Okay. Well, the first keynote we've talked about on here before, and how
that's the next episode you come on.
Oh, it's our next episode. Well, stay tuned. But it was terrible.
That's going to be the whole show.
It was so bad. But it's now we crack up about it, thinking about how far I've grown. And we knew like one day we would do that, And so if you have some rough times, you're struggling, ask for help, know you're going to come out of it. And even if it's those parts in your journal that your therapist says, you just tear that out. Like that's never going to help you in the future. That may be the case too, but no matter what, every day is a fresh day where we can chase a new dream. We can try something new. We can get that second wind and at least just keep going. Even if we can't do exactly what we plan to do, we can do something moving forward.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. We love to have you as part of the community. We love you joining us. And again, that you take out a little bit of time on Thursday night and pop over here and join us means the world to us. And we hope you have a fantastic Friday and a wonderful weekend to recharge for next week.
Thank you for loving my hair, Monica, by the way. Sorry. Yeah, but what he said. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.